So, you're silent. No one in the chat can hear you.
Of course, every time. Checks off technical difficulties on my LL bingo card.
I thought that was the free square in the middle.
Like every time.
All right, I hear people again. What? Oh, God. Okay. Welcome, everybody, to Lorelines episode 33. It is Sunday, October 10th, 4 o'clock Eastern Time, and we are going to be talking about the many faces of Denmo McStronghuge. Joining us today, we have Denmo McStronghuge. Thank you for joining us, and would you like to say a few words?
Hi, I'm Denmo. I didn't agree to the title.
That's okay. Nobody did.
But yeah, I'm happy to be here.
Denmo's
Awesome.
a fantastic content creator. I've seen a good amount of your stuff, and I really do love it. So we're really excited to have you today.
So I have like a long history with Denmo's content. I don't really know where to begin, but it's got to start with the Mr. Face Psy videos. And I don't remember what expansion these were coming out during. I think it was early Stormblood. But I was trying to get my friends to play, and I was like, "Oh, dude, check out this video. This is the kind of stuff you can do in game. It's just wacky and silly and fun." And they watched the video, and they're like, "We are never playing this game. That is terrifying." They're on a level cap now, though, but it's fine.
Yeah, I get a lot of people telling me that my videos are the reason they started playing, and it depends on the video that they're talking about. But half the time, I'm like, "Are you sure?"
So yeah,
are you okay?
Your videos kind of swing wildly, and I know some people in chat might be wondering, well, what does Denmo have to do with lore? Because we're a lore focused podcast, and as a video editor myself, I find that I stumble upon a lot of different lore things when I'm editing, just because I'm spending so much more time with the content. And I wanted to ask if you have that experience where you're like, oh, there's something in this area I never noticed before, while I'm chopping up video.
Oh, constantly. Like, I can't think of a specific example, but yeah, I totally get that feeling. Just gushing over different details that they add into an area, and more often than not, I'm like talking about it on Twitter or something like that.
Awesome. And where can people follow you?
At McStronghuge, at McStronghuge on Twitter, and Denmo McStronghuge on YouTube.
Awesome. Meowth, Sarah, Neela, Bonnie, does anyone want to chime in?
The most memorable thing of do you want to go first, Meowth?
No, it's just I'm actually interested. Intently listening because I'm not really familiar. I'm you know me. You know, when there's drama in the fandom, I probably the news probably will get me like 3 months later. So, so it happens the same when there's this sort of content. Right now, I don't have to worry about that because you guys are already sharing this stuff, and I'm like, oh, okay. If it were me, I wouldn't have noticed. But I'm actually, yeah, listening intently because I have to admit I'm not familiar with that sort of content from from 14. I do know it exists. It's just that I don't usually follow it, but it doesn't mean I'm not interested. It's just that I'm weird.
But you're lazy like me.
No,
And I'm like, I'll
I
watch
mean,
videos, and I don't.
not really. It's just that it's something that I watch it and I always find myself thinking, how the fuck did they did it? And and it's like I perhaps I should learn how to do it myself to illustrate the stories. And then I realize that I don't have the time for as I am for living, and I say, okay, I probably not get more ideas than necessary.
That's, I mean, it is a time involvement, so that's probably for the best. But I will say, um, one of my project ideas that I plan on doing in the sometime in the future is like a series of videos saying how, how to film in 14, and I think that a lot of people would enjoy that.
Oh, that'd be really cool. Yeah.
I know a lot
I
of
live in
people
all
who would
of your
get use out
editing
of that.
skills.
I mean, most of my editing skills is literally like, how the fuck do I do this? Type that into Google and find and add Premiere or After
Fair.
Effects to the end of it, and then there's a tutorial, because that's you could ask any questions like how to make a glitch transition Premiere, and there it is.
That's the
How
world
to
we
do
live
a
in
time
today.
lapse
Yeah.
After Effects, there it is.
That's true.
It's all layers, chroma key, and crossfades.
See, I have to watch other people's videos usually to get ideas for how to make things come together because I'm not a very visual person. Trying to like, oh, well, how do I want it to look? And I'm just thinking of words.
Mm.
I think one of my favorite things of watching Denmo's videos, like recently you posted the blur effect where you got the transition going between the different zones. And my favorite thing is to just try and figure out how you did it.
Oh, you want me to tell you right now?
Oh no, you can tell me later. I just think it's fun just because you have so many interesting ways of putting your video together. Not that it's busy, but it's just very like I see the videos and I'm like, this guy must be using like 50 to 70 layers on this thing.
It looks very impressive.
Well, when I started out, it was literally just me figuring out how to even do a camera zoom. If you go back to the first Dance Eorzea Dance video, there was a lot of me just zooming the camera around and just clean cutting from clip to clip.
Right. Those ones are the ones
And-
that always stood out the most for me, personally.
Yeah, and it was literally just me having fun in Sony Vegas because I was learning the program and putting it together to music and just recording a bunch of random ass clips and oh, I'm gonna dance here. I'm gonna dance here. I'm gonna dance on top of this person's desk. I'm gonna dance over here. Now I'm dancing here, and just an excuse to like put it into the program and just toss it to music. And then as I got more familiar with the program, it was me just trying new things. And every time I made a new video, I'm always trying something new, trying to improve upon previous entries. So, like because if it's not fun for me, then I don't want to be putting out something that's not fun for me.
Absolutely.
I completely
Seems like a
understand that
great way to
feeling.
learn too.
Yeah. And like Heaven's Word, I was like, oh, I really want to know how to do time lapses. So, and then I found out a really cool trick with time lapse where you can like make the emote play cleanly, but the time lapse is happening in the background. And then in Stormblood, the one that got banned, I wanted to expand further upon that with like time lapses plus camera movements and other things. And by the time we got to Shadowbringers, it was I really wanted to add like cutscene dialogue and stuff like that. And I found a song that just worked perfectly for that. And 700,000 views later, everybody knows how.
I think that was the first one I found of yours. I was like, wow, this is so cool.
I think I fixed it.
You rock.
You did.
I can now talk. And now that I can talk, I was in one of your videos.
Oh, yeah.
It was
Which
the one where you walked entirely across the... you walked from, was it Gridania, all the way across Kurthis, all the way to Idleshire.
We did that?
Going?
You did a walk across Eorzea.
Oh. I don't remember that being a video. I did lots of events like that.
It was either you or someone else that took a video of it. But I remember I was a part of it, and there were a bunch of screenshots taken, there was videos taken, and I was proud to be a part of it, because I was actually, I think, one of the first events that I actually went to of yours.
Cool. Yeah, usually when I'm doing in-game events, I'm not even thinking about recording it to turn into a video, unless the event is the video. So those March events that I've done, I didn't actually record because I was too busy just like, panicking that, I have 1,000 or however many people following behind me and I got to
There's a
keep
lot,
them
yeah.
entertained.
I'm being
Gotta keep them
chased by a
entertained while-
crowd. A ravening
Yeah.
horde.
But you're
it's
loved.
something.
Though.
And you've got thousands of people, willing to knock things out of the way for you in case you do get aggroed.
So I'm going to ask you a question you've probably been asked 1,000 times before, but how did you get started doing this?
Doing which?
So making the videos. Did you just wake up one day and say, I want to make a video for Form 14?
Well, my first ever video was a music video where I took Bohemian Rhapsody and made an anime music video to it using Foodie Cootie. And I had a lot of fun making it. It was just kind of a side thing. And when I figured out how to record stuff in 14, that's when I started experimenting. And then I figured out that Sony Vegas, I could use Sony Vegas to do that, and started making some music videos in that. And from there, it just kind of snowballed. Between all that, I was making really dumb comics. I had an art degree, so I was drawing, just testing out different things and seeing what stuck and what I liked. And
So I think it did. I think we're dating ourselves saying that we used to make AMVs, because I also used to make AMVs.
Yeah. Waves hand guiltily.
I've never done an AMB.
Yeah, because you're the
Done
youngest.
No, I've lived the time of AMVs. They were all over the place. It's just that, like I said, I'm really out of the loop when it comes to stuff that is popular, and I find about it like 2 years later.
Meowth is a boomer and a zoomer simultaneously.
It's true.
What?
I probably started making video content later than most of you. And I want to say it was fueled by depression and a need to like feel good about myself and be liked. So
It's kind of a mood.
Yeah,
That's
you're
kind of
probably,
how a
probably
lot
the
of
most
artists get started.
it's probably the most relatable person we've had on.
Yeah, like, I mean, I started writing not all that long ago for that same reason. And I think a lot of artists can relate with that. Having to pursue things that drive our passions to kind of escape those kinds of things.
yeah, unfortunately for me, it's turned into my job now. So I have to step outside of the I'm doing this for likes box, and I have to actually make stuff that maybe I have to take it a step further.
It's
So,
great though.
yeah,
Hopefully that doesn't detract too much from its original purpose, because like if you, it certainly can be the case that when it becomes that kind of serious element where you rely on it for like a paycheck or whatever, or people like take it more seriously, it can tend to lose some of its luster for you as an individual, and that can be a bit of a problem.
yeah, I still try to have fun with the projects that I work on.
Yeah, I was gonna say, always make time for personal projects.
I mean, I can relate because right now I work sort of as professional artist, and sometimes I get to feel that burn, the feeling of feeling of feeling, yeah. That's the sense of burning myself out, like, ugh. I want to do this thing that I want to do myself, but I have people waiting for stuff that they've paid me for, and that's
Yeah.
and you don't allow yourself to do what you want because you know there's people counting on you, whatever sense you want to take it. So it's like
That's
Yeah,
a mood. Yeah.
You've just explained the past 4 or 5 months for me.
Yeah.
That it's one of the reasons why my latest video, Shadow Swingers, took as long as it did. Like, the idea came out in January, and it took me it took me until just a couple weeks ago to get it done. And most of that was absolutely because I was taking jobs on the side, and I felt obligated to finish those jobs before I could finish Shadow Swingers. And I want to say that the amount of Dagger, get away from the mic. It is not time.
Kitty,
literally having the
say hi
same
to for me.
She's just shoving her head into the mic boom arm and swinging it away from me. And
Aw.
My cat is trying literally the same, and I have to shoo her like 4 times now.
yeah, what was I saying? I want to say that the amount of time that it took helped the video. I mean, I hope it did, because I was learning so many things on the side while I was working on other things.
You had time to reflect on it more.
Yeah.
But it can still be frustrating. I know how that gets.
Yeah.
I'm just highly amused by this conversation because I'm working in Photoshop on one of my side jobs right now while we talk.
Is it just improving or detracting your mood while you're doing it?
Yes.
I'm
That's
I
the
will
other
fully
thing about
admit.
that's the other thing about editing, though, is like it's not like Photoshop where I can just like or like working on a homework or something like that, where I can just put on Netflix or listen to some music while I'm working on it. You know, with editing, you have to focus on both the video and the audio all at once. So even if you're doing a boring task on it, like just putting captions on there, you can't distract yourself, or it just you can't listen to other stuff. You can't watch Netflix while you're working for hours and hours.
It's a more demanding medium, yeah.
It's very demanding of your attention. And
Of course,
Yeah, guys.
the same reason why videos like that are so engaging is because you're listening to something, you're watching something, you're
Yeah.
appreciating every aspect of it, but then the editing process also involves all that.
Yeah, and for me, it's always me rewatching what I just edited, like over and over and over, and then finding the minute details that I hate because I know I'm going to be watching it years and years later. And I say this with experience. I'm going to be watching it years and years later, and then like, damn it, that cursor right there, that single frame, you know?
And it's not as easy a fix anymore like it would be for, say, a piece of writing or something
Right,
in Photoshop.
I can't just like edit it out. Once it's out there, it's out there.
Yeah, I mean,
It's like a tweet. You either delete the whole thing or not at all.
Yeah, and I already got like 60 retweets on it, so I'm not going to delete it just because of a little period missing, but also, gosh darn it, I missed a period. I should be better about this.
Mm-hmm.
That's
I
a
feel
mood.
that on a spiritual level, and the author here is Boney, but I just can't sleep if I write something and then I reread what I wrote and there's something, any kind of typo on it. If I don't fix it right away, I can't sleep well at night.
Oh yeah, I've had some of my author friends message me if I miss a typo or punctuation in a tweet or something, and they're like, "You're supposed to be an author. You need to make sure that your grammar and your punctuation is perfect in every tweet and reply you make, and also in Discord and anywhere you talk, because then everyone is going to think that you're a terrible author."
That
You
wasn't
know, it's
West
funny.
Coast enough.
I thought authors had editors for that.
Right?
Like beta readers and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they would have a heart attack if they saw any of my manuscripts that I've typed on my phone, because I hit period more than spacebar.
See, this is why I never read your stuff.
I've been there. I have actually, out of respect for Boney's dignity, to not edit it myself.
See, this is
because I'm like, I understand what you were trying to where you were trying to write, but I feel this is where Boney actually fell asleep over her phone.
Yeah.
So I completely relate to looking back to older works and either just like face palming or seeing things I hadn't seen before or putting something out there, watching it, and being like, I have to delete this immediately. It doesn't matter that 300 people have already seen it because I need to fix this. It's not what I want. See all the between the lines videos that have been deleted.
We were
Great
starting, to
Purge.
be fair.
We got more coming down the line, but yeah, it's just that editing process.
I would have, if I made a question for Denmo.
Mhm.
For example, in Final Fantasy XIV, is there anything or any event that I don't know that gives you inspiration for a video, or it's just things that happen on your real life and you kind of put them in through the game or something like that? I'm curious. Or they just happen.
I'm terrible at coming up with ideas, to be honest. When I run out of ideas, I resort back to Mr. Face, and that's terrible of me.
I mean, I guess we could ask about where Mr. Face came from originally.
Oh God.
Or is that like eldritch information that no mortal should ever know?
It's
Lovecraftian information.
If you hear it, you'll go insane. Everybody leave.
he came from the world between worlds. His backstory is unknown. He exists
my own
inside and outside of time itself. He sees you and yet doesn't.
Is that his backstory?
I have no fucking clue.
Yeah, so that lines up with my headcanon of Mr. Face pretty well, which is that he is an unsundered alien void sent primal. that,
Sure.
he's everything, and he literally tempers everyone around him and makes them dance, and he eats Lalafels.
Sure, no, but the real origin of Mr. Face is that I was going through Character Creator trying to make the most striking appearance I could through Character Creator, just Character Creator, and that's what I came up with.
Op success.
Yeah, I
Yes, you'll succeeded.
I mean,
And,
I don't know if it's deliberate, but the first time you gave me the references for the avatar and stuff, I was like, isn't that Lalafell Godwin Manderville?
well, Denmo, I wanted a bearded Lalafell because I was really into dwarfs, and also I was a Lalafell in 11. But sadly, my cries for full-on beards fell on well, they didn't fall on deaf ears, but they were like, yeah, we can't mess with the character creation anymore than we already have, so the facial hair options that you got are what you got. And then they added the Santa beard later to kind of spit in my face, I guess. I don't know. But no, the facial hair and all that is what I stuck with, and eventually I rested on the pince nez, because I mean, I wish I could dye them a different color, but you know.
I think a lot of us would like to have more options of those kinds of glasses.
Looking for that purple beard?
I mean, we're still waiting on stubble.
Yeah, we are actually.
Oh yeah, that one.
If you're not a Highlander, like, facial hair just seems so hard to come by.
Best race.
Or if you, well, if you're a Hrothgar, you can consider yourself all facial hair.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure people would take issue with Here's getting stubble while Vieira and Hrothgar are having all sorts of head issues.
Very true.
We get the stubble before we get the hats.
We would never hear the end of it.
Nope.
Okay, but what if we made the hats out of the stubble?
I veto this.
What?
Just
Just
it's
shifting
close
the acid
enough to
around.
wool, right? It's all
I
scratchy.
mean, if it allows Vieira and Hrothgar to be able to wear hats, I will shave Denmo. I will go bald.
Are you suggesting an in-game movement of bald characters? Why are you bald? In solidarity for my Vera and Hrothgar
Hey, that's-
brothers and sisters.
That's not a bad event idea. Let me
It's
write
not a
that
bad
down.
idea. Go crazy with it.
You're giving him video ideas.
Oh no, what a shame.
Oh, how terrible.
How unfortunate.
How
Very
unfortunate.
Oh my god.
Lalafell hair.
Y'all are assholes.
I'm just picturing this
That's
now.
the best
Like,
line.
Limsa
from that
Laminsa just full of bald characters.
It would be pretty funny. I think we
Meowth
killed
is
someone.
dead.
I think
Meowth. Yep, Meowth death number 1.
Nice.
Breathe, meow.
You don't have to mute yourself when laughing.
Oh my god, she's gone.
F's in chat.
I'm not muting myself.
Meowth's laugh is infectious.
It is. It really is.
Stop it!
But why though? Breathe.
Raban gives Nanamo a hairpin, but Nanamo has already shaved her head to make him a big shirt. Thanks,
Oh
Bob.
my god.
Best comment so far.
I will cherish it always, Your Grace.
So now my
Yikes.
Gulas headcanon is evolving, and Gulas is just what happens if you shave Emperor Solus.
Oh my god.
I've seen
And
Bald
okay.
Emmett. Bald Emmett is a classic.
Boy, things got on
Wow.
a weird track.
Yeah, the Great Bold.
I blame Mr. Face.
Hey, Mr. Face is perfect and responsible for everything.
Actually, yeah, this is normal Kolrath. Yeah, you're right.
I feel guilty because like I kind of part of me doesn't want to make Mr. Face content. Everybody keeps saying like Mr. Face this, Mr. Face that, and like yeah, he's fun, but the joke's kind of done. So I don't know what to do with it.
That's totally fair.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, if
You
you're not
don't-
having fun making it, you shouldn't make it.
And you don't want to run it into the ground.
And that's why you got to create something new, something bold.
Bold and brave.
Bald?
Something.
What?
I was thinking that.
Oh, you're welcome, Bon.
Something bald.
Maybe not. Most of my ideas are terrible.
But I should say this. You should never feel guilty for not wanting to make something that's yours.
Exactly.
Mrs. Hairline.
It's hairline. What? See, I don't think that's even possible because female options. There's like there's no bald option.
That is true.
There's like maybe short hair, and that's it.
Mrs. Buzzcut.
You know, that's a little odd. I wonder why that's the case.
Honestly, I have no idea.
It makes me think of what we were talking earlier about the character creator. Is there lore for why women can't be bald, or they're just like, no one's gonna want this? Because that's gotta be the
doubt
easiest
there's lore.
hairstyle.
I
It's gotta be
doubt
the
there's lore.
easiest hairstyle to put in. It's just no hair. It's,
Okay,
it's not
but-
hard to put it in.
So,
Okay, but what
then-
happens if you peel Vera ears to go with the bald?
Or Makote.
or Makote, yeah.
Can male Mikote be bald? Now I want to know.
I don't think so.
Do you want a bald Rothware? It's
That would be
like
hysterical.
I do now.
Okay, now
it's,
no, we're
it's like a Sphinx cat.
Yeah, Sphinx.
I mean,
that
those
was-
are a
I was
thing.
gonna say that.
A very interesting thing.
that's
Oh,
just
Lord.
awkward.
Mm.
So maybe no one should be bald. I feel like it may be for
Maybe-
the greater good.
Maybe they should just add a hat that covers the ears, the hair, everything. It's just a bald hat.
It's just a bald cap.
It's just a bald cap. No ears, nothing. So everybody gets to have this smooth dome, and you can
Oh
dye
my
it. You can
God.
dye it. to
So
match
it'll
your
be like
skin
that.
color.
Like that guy in the Hildebrand questline. He just blinds everybody with the shiny head.
Yeah. Except also on Mikote, so everybody gets to be bald.
Just dye it however you want.
Just
So
just
it
put
wa-
that
so-
in the Final Fantasy 14 forums. Just give us a bald cap.
Looks like the ability flashes back.
So basically bald equality.
Bald equality.
Yeah.
Scalp
Totally.
equality.
Oh god.
This has turned into Meowth just laughing.
That was your plan. I mean, but I prefer to be laughing than your original idea for me.
We gotta get the laughs out now since we're going to be crying in like a month.
That is very true.
It's
So-
like a month. So Denmo, do you have any? I guess you do, but do you have any plans, particular plans for video for Endwalker?
Well, I'll tell you what my current plans are. As you may have known, I've been taking commissions from awkmorning.com, and when Endwalker comes out, plan to be pretty busy helping them out, growing their website and stuff with video content.
Nice.
That's a really good idea.
Particularly on jobs and stuff. As for me, I'm currently working on a very top secret collab with several other content creators. It has nothing to do with the media tour, but I hope to get it out around the same time, and I've been working on it for the past couple of weeks. That's all I can say about it. Please look forward to it. After that, when Endwalker comes out, the plan is to experience Endwalker, hope for an idea to strike me to make a dance video, because everybody's expecting that. And if the idea does or doesn't come, I don't know. It probably will, but we'll see.
Even just dancing on the moon.
Yeah, I mean, with Don't Dance Alone for Shadowbringers, it was right up until the expansion came out that I figured out what song would actually work, because I had to play the game first, So I imagine Endwalker is going to be kind of the same.
So it's going to be Denmo McStrong Huge's Moonwalker.
I mean, if you have the Manderville Mambo, you can moonwalk. So
Moonwalk, Eorzea, Moonwalk. I don't know. I have no idea. And then after that, like I said earlier, personally, I'd like to make some tutorial content about making content from Final Fantasy XIV and just filming and editing in general. And after that, I'm not sure. As soon as I run out of ideas, I'm going to actually take everything and try to apply for an actual job. So
It's a lot on your plate. That's exciting, though.
yeah.
You're a fantastic video editor. You'll do great.
sure. I mean,
Yes.
I mean, I don't. I can't really speak when I'm basically out of the loop when it concerns these things. But I'm just from what you talk about your job and what you do it. It's certainly that you take it seriously and you enjoy what you do, even though like like I said, I mean, I work in the art field too, and I can relate to not being able to only do what you want to. But I think that's fair. That's sometimes you just have to. I don't know how to say it. Maybe refresh your mind or something. Take a break I mean, I don't really know if I will have ideas myself in what, a year. I want. That was a very long way to say that that you're a professional and it shows. Sorry.
I don't feel professional, and I'll tell you how not professional I am right now. I am literally wearing shorts with a t-shirt and the Fangamer Sans hoodie, which is comfortable as fuck, by the way. So I am literally Sans right now. That's
Nice.
how unprofessional I am.
I would say
not to
professionality is
mention-
about skills.
Yeah.
And you got that.
I mean, if we're going into how professional we are, but by what we're wearing right now, do you want that conversation? Because
I think it'd make a lot of us feel better about ourselves.
Half of us are in pajamas right now, no question.
I have a real shirt on, that's what I'll say.
Yeah,
Yes.
so do I.
I have a shirt and silicone stained gym shorts.
Yeah, I'm
Nice.
wearing pajama pants and Emmett Selflith shirt.
and I have a long shirt and a very loose short pants, that because I've lost like how much in 3 months, I lost like 12 kilos. Now every time I go, imagine the trajectory between my laptop and the kitchen. I can't even walk that without my pants falling to the ground. So
You need suspenders.
yeah, but this is basically my staying at home ensemble, which is basically well, it's actually mostly 24/7 ensemble, except when I have to go out for dire food necessities.
So this has revealed a deep Loreline secret. The real reason we use the drawn avatars, so we don't have to wear fancy shirts.
That's 90% of it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's like you just talked about 99% of the internet right there. So
That's true.
Like VR streamers and stuff.
yeah,
So-
that's VTubers right there.
In which case,
Totally.
I would. In which case, it would be testament to my level of please don't make me choose any fancy shirt for every week, because first I don't have any, and second I'd rather draw all of these things.
Well, I mean, how would you rate professionalism though? Like in this day and age, like I think everybody's kind of gotten comfortable, or at least introduced to the idea of, you know, working from home and
Yeah, thanks to the pandemic.
yeah, and like what
Well.
at the end of the day, what actually counts as being professional? And to me, I think it has to do with well, one, self-care, how well you take care of yourself, and like, I mean, not just like making yourself feel good all the time, but also like you know, the basic ass things like getting out of bed and getting cleaned up and keeping your house in order, and making yourself healthy meals and getting exercise and stuff like that. And
Adulting
then,
mostly.
right. I don't want to say adulting because that makes it feel like, oh, I'm not an adult if I don't do this. You know,
Oh, that's
I
fair.
don't know. Because I don't feel like an adult. I still don't, but I'm trying to take care of myself. And then the other thing is like not producing content, but like taking time out of your day every day to try to put energy towards something productive. And your definition of productive might be different and it might change over time. But for me, being productive is, of course, making content or working towards content. And some days I'm less productive than other days. And like, maybe I'll get 3 or 4 hours of work done. And then another day I'll get maybe 2, and then spend the rest of the time watching anime while playing 14 or something like that. So I wouldn't say I'm the most professional person out there. I certainly know a lot of content creators who work their asses off doing what they do, and they have fun doing it. I'm definitely not one of those people, and that's probably why my YouTube channel doesn't have as much content as other people. But also, I'm always looking for like that spark of inspiration that just like, I gotta do this, I gotta make this, you know, that just keeps me up until 5 in the morning because it's such a cool idea. It has to exist. It has to be put out there. And that doesn't always come. So it's like I'm struggling with. I'd say my biggest struggle right now is forcing myself to get stuff done that maybe I'm not as inspired to make. You know.
I definitely feel that.
Yeah, I completely can relate to that. Actually, right now I'm kind of buried in orders for other people, but mentioning how you work through things when you do get struck by an idea. What is your process like? Do you write down like an outline, or do you storyboard, or how do you put down what you want to see on the video?
I used to not like put down an outline, and you can see that pretty plainly in the Mr. Face videos. There's no structure to that. It was just me tossing shit onto the screen and hoping it sticks. And the outline was the music, you know? It was like, okay, this will be good to the music, so I'm just going to put this here. Or I'll record a whole bunch of silliness and then see what sticks. But more and more, as I try to improve and try to make the content uh, more engaging, I guess. Lately, I have been doing more outlines. Shadow Swingers was the first one in a while that I've done a storyboard for. And that's part of the reason why it took so long, is because I had to make a story for this song, and the songwriter jumps from like you start off with, you know, your typical Final Fantasy music, and then it jumps straight into a remix of Kefka. So like in the first verse, and I was trying to think, okay, how do we go from Limsa Lominsa, bards playing in Limsa Lominsa, to Kefka? So I had to storyboard that out and like figure out what exactly was going on. How do they get from point A to point B? So yeah, I write outlines. Like I just open up a Google Doc and write a basic outline and try to piece together what happens. And lately, I've also gotten into making a storyboard directly out of video. Like, these videos are not something that other people are ever necessarily going to see, unless maybe it's like some content I want to release to YouTube members. But it helps to, when I do like a rough draft version of what I'm trying to make, it helps to just like take my character, take Denmo, go to these locations, film a shot with Denmo. I don't care if it's Denmo, you know. So the storyboard is basically a ton of Denmos cut together, doing a bunch of random stuff, and that helps me get an idea for what the finished product should look like, and the challenges that certain scenes are gonna face. Is there an example of that? Well, like for Shadow Swingers, there was getting to from point A to point B. How do you move while playing music? You can't do that in game, right? Like, I was thinking, okay, maybe the band just kind of like hops up like Adrian Brody style and just starts like dun 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 dun, 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 you know.
Yeah.
And they're just going from place to place doing that, and that's what the first storyboard looked like, and it was silly, and it was memey, and I don't know, I kind of liked it. The person who made the song didn't like it. So we kind of had to come up with another idea, like okay, what if we all just jump in the car and just fly to different places? And then I got the idea, okay, well, if they're in the car, they have to be flying over people. And if they're playing music, well, we have to see what the music does. Maybe the music, like, it's like some kind of Care Bears kind of shit, where the music just makes people happy and like everything's better because the music's playing, you know. So it turned into this car flying from place to place with music playing, and like everybody's like, what is that music? Oh my gosh, you know. And that's how it ended up. And it really, I knew how the song how the song started and how it ended, but I needed to get from point A to point B, and that was a huge challenge.
Rather describing the how the scenario writing works. So
Yeah.
I mean, it's even if it's just for video editing. But I think you were telling how you do it, and I was kind of reminded of that. In FanFest when Ishikawa told Soken, no, it was the other way. Or I actually remember who told who about making the cutscene moments coincide with match with the certain points of 2D That's pretty much it. Actually, it's all boils down to the same principle.
Yeah, what scared me was they even talked about how the cutscene editors or like the movie editors would go back to Soken and say, "We need you to change the timing on the song." And I'm like, "How can you even do that?"
That
I
doesn't
live and
seem
die.
possible.
I live and die by. I never tell the audio to change for me. There's only like a couple times that I'll actually edit the audio to like with Don't Dance Alone, I actually took 3 different versions of the song Alone and stitched them together with some help. At first it starts off with the piano version, and then it went to the classical version, and then it ended up with the dance version. But other than that, other than that, I don't try to mess with the audio if I can help it. I mean, and plus, I'm definitely not an audio editor, and I don't know if it's ever been apparent, but I'm half deaf, so I don't even have a concept for what stereo sounds like. So I don't know. I don't even know. Like, I'll ask you guys: has there ever been any audio weirdness in my videos? Because nobody's ever told me.
Not that I've known.
No, it's never noticed a thing.
Well,
No, it's all been great.
I mean, if you don't know, I would say that even has even more merit.
Hire this man.
This
Yeah,
one's for Cobran. What was your first Denmo video that you watched?
That would be the Psy Mr. Face Gentleman video. And I saw it and I was like, "Oh my god, this is amazing." Maybe I should get back into video editing. And then I started making the little lore videos on my channel, and then I made the great work, and that kind of blew up. And now I'm just making stuff here while still working on personal projects. One every maybe 7 or 8 months when I have the time.
It always blows my mind when someone tells me that they look at my work and they get inspired to make incredible things themselves. Like that's like probably the highest form of compliment I've ever gotten. But like the one that blew my mind the most recently was I don't know if you guys are familiar with Magitech Productions.
No.
Oh, you should look it up because they are incredibly talented. Magitech Productions have been making some very anime-inspired, like, action videos for 14, and they are just incredible.
They did the really good LunarCon entry.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I remember that one. That one was really good.
I talked with him recently, and he said, like, the reason I got into video editing was because of your green screen tutorial. And I'm like, what? That was a shitty. That's the shittiest tutorial I've ever. That's one of my shittiest videos. I want to redo that video so badly because not only is the info kind of outdated, it's just me like on. All right, so here's the green screen. Here's how you do this, and I don't really care, and I'm just putting on a persona that I don't fucking care. Like, here's how you do blah, blah, blah. I'm like,
put the coin in the basket.
So, full disclosure, that video of yours actually blew the door wide open for me. That helped immensely. It helped me get my second work video done. It's helped immensely on the lore lines between lines video. We use it a lot.
Yeah,
It's yeah.
Yeah, like stuff like that is why I really want to share out how I did stuff, like make those tutorial videos on how to do stuff. And like that's probably also part of the teacher talking in me because I worked as a teacher for 5 years.
Oh, that's awesome.
But I don't know. I please look forward to it, I guess. Like I'm gonna redo the green screen tutorial for sure, but I want to also talk about other things like uh I don't know, what are some things that you would want to know?
So, when you're layering over, I do remember a walking video. I don't remember which one it is of yours, but you've got the character. The animation doesn't shift, but the lighting on the character changes as they change between different areas in times of day. And I
Oh
just
yeah,
thought
yeah.
that was amazing.
Yeah, that one I picked up from Experience Eorzea. That was the first video I saw that did it so cleanly, like you couldn't even tell. Um, and that inspired me. A lot of my videos was Experience Eorzea and some others. But basically, with that is working in 14, you have this unique position where you can lock the camera or set like you press like Control Shift End, and it'll bring you back to the default camera position. Or you go into G pose and you can save where the camera angle is in relation to your character, right?
Right, right.
So
And I know you can do that now, and you can make your character walk in animation. But when the video came out, you couldn't do
yeah,
that.
you could set a default camera um, angle,
Right.
and you could have the character walk towards the camera or walk in a direction from the camera. Like it's easier now because of G pose, but back then you would set it to the default camera, and then you would film yourself from that camera in different scenes, and then you go into what I usually do is I will lay the layers on top of each other and make the top layer like transparent for a little bit and try to line up the frames of animation before I cut them together for the transition. And
Yeah,
it makes it
that's
really
a mood.
it makes for a really clean, impressive transition. It's not something that you can normally get.
Right. That's like
Yeah.
our background, getting that to loop every minute, matching up the frame
Yeah,
was a challenge.
yeah, looping sucks.
Yeah, it does. That's really awesome though, because it's just finding ways to use what you have in 14 to create such awesome content. And I know we've deviated way off of lore, and there's just like a million things I want to ask. And I mean, I'll probably hit you up after stream or something. But yeah, I think you've been an inspiration to a lot of the 14 community, especially a lot of the newer creators coming out now.
Yeah, it's wild. I'm one of like someone once recently mentions like, "Oh, you're one of the old content creation people. You're one of the 14 kings." And I'm like, "I don't what? What?"
It makes it awkward to hear that, isn't it?
It makes it really
And just
awkward.
like how you've been doing this for 7 years, like just having that kind of laid out.
Oh gosh, has it been 7 years? I'm tugging at my shirt here. It's getting a little hot. Am I wasting my life? What's going on?
I don't think so. You make a lot of people happy.
If you've been having,
There's no waste in your life and you're enjoying what you're doing.
yeah, if you're having a good time, it's not wasted.
I think the first video, it was one of the first videos that I saw of yours was the Raubon video. Like I'd seen a few of your videos before, but the Raubon.mp4 video was great because
Yeah.
God, that day during early access,
Capitalizing on that feeling.
Oh, God.
meme right there.
Yes,
I
that
could
was
do really nothing else but like look up crap because I wasn't getting into that instance.
Yeah.
same. Yeah, and I think that
I don't know how bad was in America, but we were having the same trouble in Europe, and it was even worse because we didn't have we only had the chaos that center. So it was
Let's just say people were bored enough to grab random mobs from around the area and just decide to train them into the area with the people
Yep.
who were actually in the instance and just
the
bring them out of
bear,
it.
the bear. Oh
So
my
it wasn't
god.
fun. It wasn't
Yeah.
pleasant.
But I think your video kind of encapsulated the frustration and not the idiocy, but the just the humorous element of it, that it was just such a ridiculous thing that happened, that people were lining up to do it. You didn't have it in the video. Everyone was just kind of mobbed at that time, but it was just such a weird thing that there was an error during event movement, and it just keeps coming up over and over.
Excalibur didn't do the line. We didn't know. It didn't work for us.
we did
No.
do the line. Back then it was Phoenix.
God, we were such impatient little fucks.
Yeah.
That
The
counts
line
as
is a lie.
that counts as Final Fantasy 14 history, right?
Oh yeah, that's
an
up there
event.
with the great. That's up there with the Great Kubu Wall.
I'll say that's an event that people will not soon forget. I actually was very lucky. I wasn't working at that point in my life, and I just went to bed, and I got up at like 3 or 4 in the morning and got in. It worked.
Same. We were doing 3 people. We started a Stormblood, and we were 3 people. And as hours passed, it allowed us to clear the instance, and we managed to skip Pippin Savage. And we skipped Pippin Savage like 10 minutes before people began getting back at it, and of course it became what it's remembered for.
Yeah,
But
see,
by then we were at Siren Song Sea.
it took me like 3 days to get through Raubon, and like I got into the instance, and I remember getting in there, and the pressure was just unreal. It's like, I cannot fail this instance. I have to get through this on the first try. There is no room for failure, because I have to go to a wedding, and if I don't get through this, I'm not going to get through it for another 3 days.
It was definitely a formative thing.
Legendary.
A shared collective experience for everyone.
Yeah, that's one of those things where like you want to make you want to make memories, and everybody like talks about their favorite memories, like that scene where Thancred does this, or Grahatia, or Emmett Selk, blah blah blah. Some of my favorite memories are the ones that community events and things like that. Playing music in Limsa Lominsa, or going to a club, in game, or going to a beach party, or a fashion show. Those are some of my favorite things that I've been able to do. Like I believe in creating your own memories from the game, even though I don't always get to record them, or share them.
Not everything necessarily needs to be shared. Some things can be more personal and stuff, but it's one of the beautiful things about this game, is that first off, being in an MMO, you can have this community where you can not just talk about the game, but go hang out inside the game. And second off, they make all these tools that make it easier for people to hang out. The way they do the housing isn't perfect, but it does allow people to do things like the clubs, the little venues and themes, which are really neat. The performance, all of that. Like, they give us so many tools to make our own fun with. Instead of giving us like, here is your assigned toy, it's like, here's a box of toys. Pick what you like out.
Yeah, so I guess that brings us back to lore, because we're making our own lore. I don't know.
No,
I think we
that's
are.
absolutely, yeah, that's absolutely a thing. I mean, if you look back at the events that happened, like at the end of 1.0 and 2.0, launch of Heaven's Word, launch of Stormblood, those events are ingrained in community lore. I still think it's part of the lore of the game itself, even if it's not part of the narrative of the game necessarily.
It's another thing the game does. Well, technically everything is like somehow, connected to the canon or the lore, the narrative, but some of the things they do are definitely intentional nods directly at the player or at the community. So it's not all like, oh, well, they said this, so we have to take it 1,000% seriously. You can have fun with it. You
Right.
can be like the Hildebrand quests, obviously, big example. Yes, the events happen, but it's very obviously just, shenanigans.
And I definitely think they have a sense that they're building the game alongside us, not just for us, but with us over time.
I think there's truth to that.
Yes, they play the game alongside us. It's not like they're sitting on. Well, of course, Yoshi P will always be a Lord and Savior, but he doesn't sit in like a high chair or anything like that. I've seen people actually taking shots of randomly through, of course, mostly in Japanese servers, but I've seen people taking randomly shots of Yoshi P actually running duties like any other player. So it's like, yeah, I can get behind this developer team.
So the creation of lore with characters. What we want to talk about that?
Well, I don't know how to interpret that.
So when you go and for videos, let's say, because we had talked before about like the Mr. Face lore and how you like created him just as a pretty much out of nothing. You don't really have much
as a joke.
Yeah, as a joke, as pretty much.
He's a joke. That's what he is.
So I mean, what would you kind of say kind of like inspires you to make these jokes? Because there has to be at least something that you love about the game almost, and that you love about the characters in the game to make you go, you know what, this would be a funny joke to make. This would be a funny video to do. What headcanon can I do, or what can I do to kind of create this scenario that it may not be funny to me, but it's this is just garnered over 100,000 views in this course of a day. I didn't think it would be this funny. What are your thoughts on that?
Can you ask me that question again? Because I'm trying to.
There's a lot to it.
There's a lot to it. So I'll put it in more simply. So what are your thoughts usually, normally, on creating the jokes behind such characters, such as Mr. Face, or some of your videos? Like what kind of goes it? What's your train of thought? Like what's your thought process in making these?
Will this be funny? Does it make you laugh?
And like, I mean, and if it's a video based on a character or a thought, like how do you really approach it? Do you go just kind of like, well, if this character did this, or I imagined this character did this, stuff like that.
Well, as far as I guess Mr. Face goes, because Denmo is really just me. I never try to be any
manifestation of yourself.
Yeah, I never try to be anything in particular with Denmo. I just exist in the game. But as far as Mr. Face, I always try to carry him very carefully because I don't want to put people off, because he's already off-putting, like, just by extension of his existence.
You really think he's off-putting? I think he's great.
So I kind of play him as this kind of character that doesn't. It is very polite, is very quietly spoken, and doesn't realize he's as intimidating as he actually is.
Oh, okay.
Like he um like he will enter a scene and like get right up into people and be and like I don't know. He's just he's oblivious to the fact that he's absolutely terrifying. It
No, that's a good way to approach it. Yeah,
yeah.
I was just curious on how you really kind of thought up of Mr. Face, like the origins, the beginnings.
Because there was this there's when I started it was like, okay, he's creepy, so let's do some creepy things, and then I realized like, that's kind of it's kind of problematic. I really shouldn't play the creepy aspect up too much, so I kind of tried to tone it down and make it more of a he's a fun person. He just doesn't realize that he's he's a
It's
contradiction.
intimidating.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a contradiction.
And then you
Very
just kind of
human.
go from there.
Yeah.
Do you
It
ever
is
have
a-
any like thoughts on like expanding on Mr. Face, or you just kind of leave it there?
I I don't know where even to go because like I finished Shadowbringers. I streamed leveling him through Shadowbringers and the cutscenes, and we got a few good chuckles of seeing him run through all the emotions of the game, like but when it came down to it, I wasn't thinking of I couldn't come up with any ideas about what to do with him, having finished Shadowbringers, and not to mention it's like it's leveling an alt, and
It is.
leveling an alt in 14 is just the worst.
You are not
Because-
wrong.
rough.
It has its moments, but yeah, it's definitely rough to miss all the emotes and other things you don't have from the original character.
Yeah, it's the emotes, the beast tribes, all that stuff you have to do over. Like, I just don't want to put in that time and effort into.
And you don't want to
what-
buy the skip.
I mean, I've bought the skip for one of the alts at one point.
One of the alts.
One of the alts, and I kind of regret it because I haven't touched that alt since. And then there's going to be data center visits and stuff like that coming up soon, so I regret it even more. But it's like you're playing this alt, but I kind of wish that it was either all in or not, because it's like this split character that I can't. If I'm doing Mr. Face stuff, I'm not doing other stuff. I'm not doing Denmo stuff. Like, there are some Twitter characters that I follow, and one made an appearance in the I Love It video. But they are that character. They are that naked Elysian man that, taking screenshots every day of them playing the game, and they're just experiencing the game every day as that character, and like I think that's great. But also I like Denmo a lot, so I don't know if I could do that.
Right, yeah.
It's actually very interesting to me the way that different people engage with their characters with the Warriors of Light. Like, for example, mine is not any kind of canonical. It doesn't have any story. It's just like, I need an avatar to puppet around. I just me, but blue.
Yeah.
But I also play, sometimes I'll create an NPC as an alt and I'll play, and I'll find myself playing very differently or thinking of things very differently because I'm from that mindset. But if it's a character
Yeah.
you can't get into the mind, it feels weird. It can feel uncomfortable. It can feel like very unengaging potentially, I would say.
And sometimes you got to do that in order to kind of get ideas for your main character too.
Yeah, I've done that with alt.
As have I.
Meowth, would you
And
like
then
to
Meowth-
talk about alts?
Yeah, and you're like 1 billion alts.
Your 25 characters.
Wasn't it 26?
So
Like-
do you also wish that emotes and all the stuff that you have to unlock would be account wide?
Yes.
Absolutely, I would love to have that.
Definitely.
I mean, I passed the point of carrying.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure when you get to the point where you have 25 or 26 characters, you're just so broken as an individual, it doesn't even matter anymore.
You're not wrong though.
Meow's eyes have lost the color in them.
I've done research of Meowth's characters for like writing for fan fiction for her, and just it's staggering the amount of effort she's put into all of them, and I'm just in awe.
I mean, and the website I sent you, it still has a lot of placeholders.
Yes, it does.
I have to update.
No wonder your character wears a blindfold. Your eyes are bleeding.
She's not me, okay? I use her because convenience, but because she's my main character, but she's not me.
And mine is like, well, more me-ish, than that. And someone was like, your character, I wouldn't be thrown off if they said, oh, you look really good. I'd be like, oh, no, that's just my character. I'm just like, oh, thanks.
Same. I play a female character, but I am not that character. However, you do create backstory for that character, but that's the joy of doing that.
I didn't initially have backstory for mine until Shadowbringers kind of inspired me to give more to her, because originally she's self-insert.
So, back to the characters you create. Do you think that you'll create like another one, or get another idea for one, come Endwalker?
Probably not.
Just kind of done with the joke characters and.
Well, I mean, it was one joke character, so I don't know.
Okay.
I feel like there's a lot of other people who have put a lot of time and effort into their own joke characters, and I don't necessarily think I need to expand upon that, because
Right.
there's a lot out there that's been done, and like the probably the best example is the Todd Howard that I keep seeing pop up.
Yes,
Like,
I've met him. He gives out the Faded Oblivions and stuff.
Yeah, like they are dedicated out there, like being that character, like, and I think that's awesome. I don't
It's
know.
more a place you visited than a place you intend to stay.
That's right.
Right. So I don't know. As far as like character-driven content, I think I'm more leaning towards making stories happen instead of like necessarily joke characters or anything like that.
Do you have any ideas of what you kind of want to lean towards in as far as that type of content goes? Compared to, well, I mean, like, let's say just like from what's shown, do you have ideas currently? From what's been shown in the Endwalker stuff?
No.
No?
I did
Yeah,
notice
sometimes
that,
creativity really just doesn't work that way.
Yeah, it doesn't really.
I'm
Although I
planning to be
did,
creative on Thursday.
Yeah.
I did
Like,
notice that
I
you
wish.
posted recently images of Denmo with like La Habre's mask on him.
Oh, that was me experimenting with. Well, I mean, it's part of the project that I'm working on, but I did the mask as a joke, but I built that mask in After Effects, so it's kind of me showing off is kind of me showing off
Oh, wow.
the work that I put into getting it in there. Like,
Yeah, I was really impressed.
it's 100 like it's 100% like custom built in there. Like, I mean, of course I did trace the mask itself, but I just wanted to like prove to myself that I could do it and how to do it.
That's really
it-
cool.
It's the same with like I've been doing AoE markers lately, and I have a whole file full of AoE markers that I've yet to do anything with, and at some point I'd like to release those for people to use to make guides with, and it's all in After Effects and motion graphics and stuff, and it
That's
pretty
so cool.
closely matches what's in the game. But once I started on that, I realized like, oh god, this is gonna take forever, because there's like a million different kinds of AoE markers in the game, and they all have
Yeah.
different themes. Like there's an ice target, there's a fire target, there's a thunder target, and then there's the target specific to Bahamut's raid and Omega's raid and all that stuff. So I don't know, maybe I'll continue with that, because I'm actually having fun like deconstructing the motion graphics, like how they actually went about it. And I'm just by doing that, I'm seeing a lot of the shortcuts that the game designers themselves took, and it's so very, very clever. Like, did you know that that DNA helix spiral for when you've got the magnet tethers, you got the plus and the minus sign, and there's the
Yeah,
silver
yeah.
Right,
yeah.
right.
right. So that's actually, I mean, of course, it's not actually 3D, but the twisting itself, it's not actually twisting. It's literally just a a sine wave on top of another sine wave, and it's moving from left to right, and it looks like it's twisting and untwisting.
Holy cow.
Ah, that's clever.
Yeah. But I was able to replicate that pretty well in After Effects, I thought. So I look forward to actually releasing that. I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to release it, but I want people to be able to like use it, but I also want to like I put a lot of time into it. I want to have some return on it, you know?
Right.
That's
right.
really
And
cool
After,
that
Yeah.
that you actually figured that out.
and After Effects is a whole other beast to learn.
Yeah, so the more I play around with After Effects, the more I'm learning and applying to, you learn a little bit in After Effects, and suddenly you're like 10 times more powerful. It's really amazing.
I like that. I mean, if I would actually, well, I would never be able to replicate that because I draw. I don't make a video edit. My field is not animation, but just imagine being able to take a video and insert all of these effects around you, like, yeah.
Yeah.
I really like CGI for that reason. It's like
Mhm.
taking reality and making with it whatever you want.
Yeah, I mean it's like you're learning, as an artist you learn how to control the medium, you learn how to use pencils to crayons to paintbrushes and up and up and up, and the more you know how to do stuff, the better and better your art becomes, the more avenues you can approach it from, and your creativity just kind of explodes. Well, it's the same with like Photoshop. The more you understand how you can do stuff in Photoshop or these other paint programs, um, the more cool stuff you can do. Like, I see people making brushes that you just brush on, like in Clip Studio or something like that, and it's literally, you can just paint on a brick layer, or you can paint on grass, and it's really good looking grass somehow. I that just blows my mind that someone went to that extent, but it saves them so much time, And
Yeah.
it's the same with After Effects. Like, I learned how to do like the camera shake. You can't do that in Premiere, but you can do it in After Effects, and then you learn that, oh, the camera shake is actually an expression, and you can apply that expression to anything in After Effects, and you can make any variable wiggle and shake, And once you know that, your brain just kind of explodes, like
Your brain
holy shit,
goes brr.
Yeah,
Right.
and I mean, you could technically do it in Premiere, but it's extremely labor intensive. It would take hours.
Right, you have to keyframe that out. I don't want to spend hours keyframing when I can just plug it into After Effects and attach a little wiggle, and now I got camera shake, or I've got
Right.
I've got the meme shakies, whatever. I don't know what you want to call it.
I mean, the history of mankind and art is basically a history of shortcuts to be efficient. So you mean in art, for example, I've read many times from people who most of them aren't even artists, that if you're using reference to draw, then you're not a proper artist. And then I'm like,
No, screw that.
That sounds like crazy talk to me. Do you want me to not use a dictionary while I write? Because I'm going to look words up, because sometimes I'm like, wait, did I remember that right or not?
Exactly.
Yeah,
but I've seen that, and it's like, okay, mate, I can draw from memory, but do you know how goddamn complicated it is to get your proportions right and stuff from damn memory?
Right.
I mean, it's like, if I want something done, I'm going to take a template either other people has done, or either I made myself, and I'm not necessarily trace, but I'm going to take what I need from that, because that's efficient. It saves me time, and it's going to look good. So when people comes and says, no, I mean, if you trace it, it's not art, because you're like, yeah. And that and then they start like, real artists didn't use reference, and you're like remembering the story of the Renaissance and how these great artists like Da Vinci, Michelangelo, Raphael, and they all hired fucking models to paint.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, mate, whatever you say.
Absolutely. Like some of my favorite artists would just have a person sit for hours in front of them. And I'm like, if that's not referencing, then what is? Like, technology has just made it a lot easier to do that, and I think that's wild. Like, I think Michelangelo would absolutely be on the computer.
Like, absolutely.
He would have a tablet in front of him. He'd be taking photos and using VR headsets, and like,
you'd get one of those little mannequins.
3D.
And he would have 5 different 3D printers in his house, and he would be downloading all sorts of different things.
Yep.
I completely agree, because also Michelangelo hated painting.
Yeah. And he painted the walls. He painted ceilings. Like, how can you hate painting, but you painted ceilings?
Yeah, it's certainly a love-hate relationship.
And then
maybe that's why he hates.
No, he hated it before, because his field was a sculptor, but he was commissioned to paint the Sixtine Chapel, and he actually ended up painting the Sixtine Chapel as if painting sculptures, because he was a sculptor. And there's one letter from Michelangelo to his lover, telling him that he was so fucking done of spending 10 hours laying on his back in a wooden platform, 3 or 4 meters high, painting on his back, with all the paint falling, dripping in his face. And there's a letter of him there's a letter of him to that lover of his, complaining and saying, damn, why the hell did I accept this job?
For some reason, that story just makes me think of, I wonder if he ever painted nudes of himself and sent them to anyone.
Oh my God.
See, it made me think of our
Funny.
conversation earlier of being so busy doing stuff for other people that you don't have time to be creative for yourself, and that just
Yeah.
makes you bitter.
Yeah.
And it's what you were saying earlier, Denmo, about artists using references. Something I learned from my wife, who's in chat right now. Thank you. Is that she's an artist full time now, and she taught me, people who aren't really artists, they borrow stuff from other people, but real artists, they steal and they make it their own, and then they create something new out of that.
Yeah, no, as an art teacher, I 100% agree.
Mm.
But yeah, as far as like editing goes, I steal by looking up tutorials. I steal by getting inspiration from scenes that I've seen. I steal by looking at what other people have done with 14 content creation, and I apply that to my own stuff. Like,
I mean, then you've studied art. I think you said you went to art school or something.
I kind of failed at computer science degree, so I stumbled my way through a fine arts degree instead. You know, the classic I don't want money story.
I'm a fine arts graduate, so yeah, I understand. So if you course fine arts, you probably know how I don't know if it's the same in America, but in my case, our teachers actually encourage us to walk around the class, to take a break and watch what the other classmates were doing.
Oh
and,
yeah, all the time.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's how we learn. But at first, it's a really damn harsh exercise on how strong my self-esteem is, because you're seeing everyone's work and you're thinking, what the fuck I'm even doing here?
Yeah. No,
And then
exactly.
only years after you've gone through that process, you realize that the intention was to basically see what others were doing and recognize what you wanted to not copy, because an artist is never going to end up copying. You're just going to add
be
your
transforming
style.
it.
You're gonna have your own
Exactly.
style.
Right.
But
Start with something and transform it.
But it was a matter of thinking, this I like or this I don't like, and then we may try to replicate it, and it may not even come. And well, for sure, it's never going to come out like the other person's. But that's the thing. By forcing you into this crushing process of destroying your self-esteem, you find yourself. But it's a really it's when people say fine arts, it's a really easy degree. I'm like, yeah, you've never been there.
It's
either you come out stronger or you bail. That's how it works.
Yeah, it's a process, and like I can't say that my art was like fantastic, and I don't do much actual traditional art anymore. Like I still kind of consider myself an artist because visually I picked up so many kind of things like composition and all the basics. Like I feel like I have a pretty good grasp of what looks good and what could look better, and yeah, one thing that I did while I was at school was I tried to latch onto artists that I liked and mimic from them. Like I don't know if you're familiar with Alberto Giacometti.
I probably read about him, but
well,
can't recall right now.
He was really famous for his sculptures. They're these really thin, lanky sculptures. But one thing that really struck me while I was doing this painting class was he actually did portraits. And they're these really sketchy portraits of people in his life. and he just painted them over and over and over. And there's a book about a Giacometti Portrait. It's a really good read. It's a short read, but it shows how he would sit for hours with this person sitting in front of him and just paint and paint over and over and try to capture their likeness in his head. And it was so expressive and sketchy, and he would spend days, weeks, sometimes months on one particular painting. And it's not because he was trying to get the details right. It's because he was trying to get the essence of the person in there. And I tried that myself, and I found that I really liked that style of painting, you know, and it was very messy and lines and expressive, and then I never painted again after. But I copied from his idea. I even took people that I knew or fellow classmates and said, "Hey, could you sit here in front of me for a little bit, and I'm just going to paint you." And some people were like, "Yeah, sure," and some people were like, "No," and some people sat in front of me and they fell asleep. But you know, I learned a lot. Like,
I mean, yeah. My mistake for the most part was trying to mimic what the style of people that I consider better than I was, and this is a kind of a long story, but it was who once was my best friend, and when things went down and crashed down and burned sort of regrettably last year, I recall going, like, I was having one of my many inspiration crises, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to draw whatever the fuck I want. And that, ironically, that's when people began noticing my work, and I was like, what the fuck, it's just fucking line art.
right?
But and it was, this is line art with a stain of color, but for some reason people like it. I to this date I still don't know why. but that's another story. But but the thing is, I actually put a lot of effort in expression, but instead my source of inspiration for expression is not, I mean, I guess it's valid, but it's not as the usual source of inspiration for, you know, classic artists, because my source of inspiration for representing expression is comic. I read comics all my life, and it's when I learned that the key to capturing a person's essence is mostly lies in the eyes and the eyebrows. it's actually really, it seems simple, but just a difference in the inclination of an eyebrow can change the entire vibe of the expression.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it is kind of derailed. Sorry.
It's fine.
That reminds me of something, actually. Sorry to interject. About some of my earlier videos, and I would make these videos. I'd put so much time into them, and they would just be super technical. And I was like, okay, this is going to be the video that takes off, and like 5 people watched it. And then I made another video, and I'm like, you know, I'm just going to experiment and screw around and just do whatever I want. And those are always the videos that, or the projects or whatever that blow up. And I'm just like, I don't get it.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's also my reality. It's almost as if, like, the longer I work on the video, the less it's going to be seen.
Oh
Yes.
God, I feel that. I feel
and that has turned out to be true for so many of my videos. For Coiled Hearts, that was one of the first ones I took super seriously, and it just didn't go anywhere as far as views. Shadow Swingers has still only about 15K views, even though it was released about 2 weeks ago. And yet I look over at my other dance videos where, you know, I just didn't give a shit, and they're still exploding. Still, like, I think one of my most the one that I'm still getting a lot of views on right now, like daily, is the Moonwalker video, where I was like, I don't give a shit, I'm just going to take the Moonbase Alpha voice and, you know, put it to Endwalker lyrics, you know. And that's still getting a ton of views. It's just like, I mean, it's because it's more entertaining, you know.
I don't know if it's entertaining. I think it works the same as news. Like in Twitter, for example, they notice how this works, and people pay attention to the headline of something rather than the content. And if you
Yeah.
make and certain media would twist this headline out of context to get a reaction when actually you go into the article and you're like, you're taking this line out of context
Yeah.
as a headline of for everything, and this is how they manipulate us.
You've just described Kogan.
Oh.
And to some extent, some other content creators that I know of, but like, I'm all for like manipulating social media to get those views, because that's how you get your livelihood. Like, I mean, I'm not all for it, but to some extent, I do kind of hate that that's the way that it is. But also, like, you got to do that hustle if you want to get those views, to get the money, you know.
It's
Sad but
like
true.
let's just put this way. People wanted short and understandable and not time consuming. So it's like I can feel that, because most of my print work is I'm trying to convey a story. I actually found out that it was easier to make a drawing than writing a whole meta-analysis.
Right.
And still, my prints are not as shared as other rather simple work, and it's like, okay. Listen to me. I'm talking as if I am a successful artist.
Do I have to get the self-care stick again? Beat
I'm
you
going
up
to
the
tell
taking
you
care
the
of
same
yourself.
thing that I tell authors who have massive imposter syndrome. You've only failed if you've quit. Otherwise, you are
Yeah.
successful.
Bonnie's
That's
been
really
giving
good.
me that. Bonnie's been giving me
Fair.
that pep talk, because I certainly need to try and like keep my head above water if I want to try and do what she does.
Well, by that
Which
logic,
I
I
do.
failed as an art teacher.
I mean, the school system is a difficult place to work, honestly.
Let's not touch on that. I don't know how it is in America.
It's
but
about
here,
that weather. I'm kidding.
I don't know how it is in America. Don't get me started about the shit of country you have here.
I don't
So
know,
about
man.
that everlasting light weather.
Yeah.
Oh god. Should do something about that.
But no, I quit teaching because it felt like it wasn't going anywhere, and the pandemic gave me the opportunity to work from home a lot. And as I was working from home, I realized that I was way more interested in making content and doing like commissioned work and editing than I was in the kids I was teaching. And that says a lot, because, you know, you're a teacher, you're supposed to care about the kids. And I found that I just wasn't making that connection. So when that happened, I realized it was time to kind of figure out what I was going to do.
Kind of
And
complicated with art or music or anything that requires a certain degree of sensitivity, to be fair. I mean, I do believe that art and music have to be taught in schools, because even if
Yeah.
even
Oh,
if
100%.
even if a kid doesn't delve into the into the artist sphere, into artistic sphere, it's going to make it's going to help you to be more open-minded to
Right.
concepts.
Right.
But
It's absolutely a critical thinking thing. It's not necessary that the kid produces good art. What is necessary is that they problem solve and they figure it out. Well, how do I do this? How do I get from point A to point B? And when you've got that mindset, figuring out how to get from point A to point B, that opens up so much. You know, that growth mindset is what I mean. I hate that that phrase came out of my mouth because I heard it so much as a teacher. It absolutely is, you know, a thing. The growth mindset is absolutely a thing that is not being fostered as much as it could be. And that's a failure of the school system, I think. Just creating drones that expect content to be shoved at them and not have to
Agreed.
put in any kind of effort or thought about how they're going to do it. Like, because when the chips are down and like you don't have a person telling you what to do anymore, you get kind of lost.
It's not just that. It's also because the education system. I actually rather the way it is here. I actually call it indoctrination system, because it's like they. I don't know if it depends on the teacher, but. For the most part, the so-called education system doesn't like questions. And I mean, when a kid is questioning what the teacher is saying,
Mm-hmm.
they don't like that. And if you don't question, your life, then are you thinking for yourself? Actually, I'm really. I mean, I question I actually. I was really troublesome in school. All my school years, ever since I was a kid, because I always questioned stuff, and
Yep.
I didn't like it.
I would also say that it'd be lovely if students could do some art, really get into that, have the chance to experience and try and see if something clicks with them. But even if not, have an understanding that, hey, that cool piece of art you saw online, that
Yeah.
wasn't easy to make. That took decades of schooling, that took so much practice, that is actually worthwhile.
Don't get me started on that.
It's very depressing to me that at least in America, you'll see people defunding art programs, then they go home and watch TV for 4 hours, and you're like, you know how, those are made with, that's art, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And do you know
TV sucks these days? Gosh, I wonder why.
I don't actually recall what's the name of the composer for Tom and Jerry. I actually can't recall. What's his name?
I don't even know.
I don't actually, but I mean, the guy made an orchestral piece for each damn chapter of Tom and Jerry, and
that's insane.
It's like,
yeah, he did.
It's insane, and it's so great. And I recall there's a video out there of I think it was a London orchestra who performed a medley of Tom and Jerry's pieces, and I swear you could, as you were listening to it, you could picture an entire Tom and Jerry chapter just by the music, and then you realize
Scott Bradley, and he invented an entire technique to actually do that, like to get that energetic and violent tone.
Yes,
it works so well for the cartoon.
It's amazing. You're like, and it's so sad that people actually don't realize how fucking genius is that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's definitely people who appreciate it, but it's definitely also something of a more subtle appreciation.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, there's that. But
the people who get it are gonna get it.
Yeah, it falls back to like well, he made this for cartoons, so therefore it's not, it's just dumb kids cartoons. Like, who cares? Like, but there's so much innovation happening in stuff like that, and it's the same. I think trying to bring this back to video games. It's the same, I think, with content creation for video games for 14. Like, I don't know if I'm like innovating necessarily, but like I'm taking concepts that I know and trying to problem solve within the game. Like, okay, I want this cool anime fight scene. How the fuck do I do that with Final Fantasy 14? It'd almost
That's
be
a
easier to
mood.
just
Yeah.
it'd almost be easier to just hand draw it, frame by frame, than actually do it. But that's part of the fun, I think, with editing, is just trying to take what I have and piece it together in a way that makes me feel good about it,
And I think everyone here agrees, but I think Mila and I have always been steadfast or stalwart. I don't know what's the word. Fuck it. Defenders of hashtag video games are art.
Indeed.
I'm a concept artist. I do illustration because my income, but my specialization is concept art. So yeah, if people come to me and say video game is not a form of art, I'm going to say
I'll say, hey, that is music art. Yeah, music's art. Is visual design art? Yeah. Is something like a TV scene where they put together in an artistic video and the person moves in a certain way and it indicates this. Is that art? Of course. Well, cutscenes have that.
It's narrative too. Ask Boney.
It's writing art. 100%. I have to fight on that one sometimes.
Yeah, cinematography.
Big fucking same.
Yeah, unfortunately. I've done video game development and writing and academia and all sorts of stuff, and there's so much creativity that even goes into like just making a research paper and arguing a point and making it something that people can legibly understand, and a lot of that gets taken for granted.
Listen, I literally had to defend I think it was my fourth year of university. I literally had to defend my work because I included a fan art because my portfolio has many fan arts, and I had to defend my fan art inclusion of in the work, like because the teachers were kind of like, but this is you're kind of making art based on another person's art or another person's work, and I was like, yeah,
how's that different from having a model?
More politely, I was like, more politely put, and of course not loosely translated. It was like, listen, I'm working. I'm using as a model. I'm using something other person wrote or some other person drew as a model. But what makes my fan art of Final Fantasy different from the painters of the Renaissance portraying images of the Bible? It's the fucking same. They're doing Bible fan art, and they had to shut up and deal with it. I mean, sorry, it's true.
Nothing to apologize for. That's good stuff. And like I've said a couple of times, probably not on this cast, but on others. Just because you're using a cookbook to cook and you're using someone else's recipe doesn't mean that you're not the one doing the cooking.
That's a really good point.
And even if you're following the recipe, you're still putting in a little bit of yourself into that.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, a little more of this, a little less of that.
Even if it's just a little bit of your bacteria, it still
very
still
true.
makes
And honestly,
for a unique creation.
Yeah. And when you're new to cooking, you need to follow the recipe pretty closely. This is you going to school, learning the teacher says draw this, so you draw this. But as you get older, or as you practice cooking, you can add your own things until eventually you're making recipes.
But you still need to hear, feel, and think.
You still need to look, learn, and remember.
That's right.
Yeah, one of the things I worry about sometimes is that when I actually do plan on like putting together a resume and a breadth of work, you know, a demo reel, is that my demo reel is literally going to be all Final Fantasy 14 editing, and I don't know how marketable that is, but you know, I would think that somehow I should be able to show that I'm able to do all these different things, and I'm not even sure what kind of job that would land me, but
So I will tell you that I once had a job interview with Disney, and they wanted to see a demo reel, and I showed them one of my 14 videos, and that almost did get me the job. So.
almost did or didn't.
Almost did. I was second in the running. Someone else got it.
Oh wow.
So it can get you pretty far as long as you can showcase what you're capable of doing. I don't really think it matters what the content is.
Yeah.
Yeah, if people take issue with the content, then they really obviously don't know how to analyze art and really look and break down the skills on display, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Agreed.
I suppose that's true. Like I think that if someone came to me and he showed me a bunch of like My Little Pony music videos, it would depend on the job he's applying for. But if he was applying to be a video editor for me, and all I saw was My Little Pony, and you know, I don't necessarily like My Little Pony, but I can appreciate the editing that goes into it because I'm an editor myself, you know. That's the kind of person that I would want to be applying for.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, and stuff you're passionate for is where you're really going to push your boundaries. You're going to say, oh, well, I don't know how to do this, but I'm going to go learn. Because you got that passion burning.
Right. And like learning stuff like After Effects and Premiere, those are marketable skills, absolutely.
Yeah.
And the fact that you know After Effects alone, especially, but Premiere, a lot of companies need someone just to do simple video editing, and most companies aren't going to be requiring the kind of level that you're capable of doing.
Yeah, that's the other thing I'm scared of. It's like, because I have gotten actual job, I mean, not actual job offers, but like commission offers, and they were asking for a way lower skill set and price than I was comfortable doing. And it was literally just like taking footage. I mean, it would have been really easy work, but the amount of pay just didn't seem worth it. And also
challenging.
And not challenging, not engaging. And I don't want to say anything against them because they might be listening. They follow me on Twitter, but I mean, what they're doing is absolutely worth it. It was just they weren't able to pay at what I felt my level was. So
they need to find someone who's at that level and ask them.
I feel like this stream is starting to become a let's cheer up Denmo. So
no, we're cheering ourselves up.
We're all collectively cheering.
We're all human. We're all. I think most of us here are creators, so we all get we'll get this way.
Yeah, we're all artists, writers, and all that. We get the hustle. We've lived under this situation.
But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at right now. It's just I'm in kind of a limbo between working job to job and wanting to do my personal projects and also make a living. And thankfully, YouTube membership has allowed me to not. I mean, I was expecting to have a new job by now, but when I rolled out YouTube membership, it was eye-opening that so many people were willing to support. And you don't think about it, but like when you're getting paid per month to cover basic living expenses, just to make the stuff that you love to make. It's really something else.
So if someone in the chat, say, wanted to go become a YouTube member of your channel, where could they go?
They would just find me on YouTube, Denmo Make Strong Huge, and click the join button. And not to toot my own horn, but the perks I think are worth it because it's only $5 a month, and you get to see tidbits of what I'm working on. And there's a special place in my Discord for members to talk directly to me, and it's been pretty great. The past few months have been really awesome. Like, I have a whole community now that just kind of sprung up out of nowhere, and I'm on there every day. It's really something else.
That's awesome to hear.
Well, I think we've approached our time limit, or about done. Is there anything else you guys would like to ask or say to Denmo?
Yes, I want to know where the name Denmo Make Strong Huge came from.
Okay. Short answer. I'm a nerd. Long answer. Denmo is short for Denethor Morgoth. Two names from like Lord of the Rings that I used to.
Yeah, I was like Morgoth
Yeah.
instantly.
Yeah.
I was
Lord
like
of the Rings.
Denethor. I know that one.
Denethor, yeah, that rings a bell.
I used to call myself Denethor on a forum for RPG Maker, and
Oh my god, I used to do that.
Yes, so did I.
You've dabbled into RPG Maker?
yeah,
too?
when it was
Same.
on there was a website called RPG Maker Pavilion, and I was on that forum like religiously every day, and for like
My
for a decade almost.
My final degree project was actually a playable 4 hours RPG demo based on Final Fantasy 14.
Wow.
Okay.
But I mean, I dabbled with it because I just love the idea of being able to make a game on your game console. And this was back when it was like a CD on PlayStation 1. And it was clunky, and it was limited, and it was not easy to make because programming and keeping track of switches and stuff was foreign to me, and typing using the controller was even worse. But I just stuck with that community. But anyway, I'm getting off topic. So Denethor Morgoth, when I made a character on Final Fantasy XI, at first I called them Denethor, and then I got into there, and someone I forget their name, they just called me Denmo as a cute little nickname, and I was like, that's amazing. I'm gonna make a Taru named Denmo right now, and then it just kind of stuck.
Nice.
So I was a Taru called Denmo, and then Final Fantasy 14 came out in 1.0, and now all of a sudden we had to have a surname. I was like, oh shit. I can't think of anything.
I feel that.
I can't think of anything for a surname. Like Denmo, nothing sounds good. Like even with the lore appropriate Lalafell naming conventions. So at the time I was playing Dwarf Fortress, and in Dwarf Fortress, your dwarves can like randomly generate all these silly names, and it's like noun mic noun, or noun mic adjective noun, but it's usually noun, you know. And so I just called myself Strong Huge because I was a Lalafell. Like, what a great joke, you know.
I think it worked.
Yeah, it worked.
Yeah, so it just kind of stuck, and that's my brand now, I guess, and that's the sense it makes.
Awesome. It was a pleasure having to chat with you, getting to know you, getting to know how you approach your content, and well, your thoughts are on it. We're happy to have you on our show.
Yeah, thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, it was very relatable and very enjoyable.
Happy to be here. Thanks for having me. It was fun to chat.
It's been actually more like an intellectual chat than our usual lore show, but I don't regret it the slightest.
No, not at all. No,
No.
I loved
No.
it.
It's a nice change of
I kind of
pace.
feel bad because I thought we were going to talk about lore, but like I
Oh,
don't
we
know how much
could.
can
I mean,
actually-
like the last
We
last
technically kind of did with Mr. Face, but no, we also, because we are all content creators on this show, it is technically talking about, what we do.
I mean, do you want to talk about Endwalker? Because I got a lot of theories, but I don't know.
Oh yeah.
We'd be here all night if we talked about those.
Oh,
we
my
could
God.
we could have him back. We
If you
could
took
totally
a
have you
step
back
around
on.
our Discord into any channel,
Yeah.
you're free to throw around anything.
We have the craziest tinfoil hat theories about what's going to happen.
Yes, and we are going to have an Endwalker theory episode where we just focus solely on that.
I'm just gonna put out predictions. And this is spoiler territory, so close the stream now. But I think Minfilia has been Vana this whole time.
Ooh.
Interesting.
I think
You're right here.
Vana is reincarnation Minfilia or whatever.
Interesting.
Just as how Rhine became a reincarnation on the first, Minfilia herself is a reincarnation of Vana, and I think we're going to figure that out.
Will ever be my choosing.
Yep.
That source appearance, yes.
Yes, time circles endlessly intensifies.
I think that's going to be the case because not only does Vana's artwork have the braids, the blonde hair, kind of looks the same but taller. I just think it's all pointing in that direction.
Nice.
Especially with Anyway,
Minfilia, but big.
Mm-hmm.
my dream come true.
Especially if like our first interaction with her is like, I know your head is ripe to burst with questions, but please,
Oh my gosh.
prithee a moment or something.
Pray return. No.
Pray
Pray
return to the Imperial Sea.
Pray return to old Charlene.
Pray return to the moon.
All right, we'll return. How we'll get there, don't know.
And we should totally have Denmo return so we can talk more about all this stuff.
Yes.
Sure.
Yeah, you are welcome back anytime.
Yeah.
So, is there any announcements that we need to make before we end the stream?
Happy Canadian Thanksgiving to anybody celebrating.
Ah, yes.
Cobran, any announcements?
Yes. So next week, let me look here at the calendar. I believe we have another guest coming up. Yumi, you and Neela, I believe, are the experts in this area. But do you want to announce that?
Next week, we're going to be having Rook on the show. She's also known as Bird of Chess in other various social media outlets.
Oh.
Yes, we are very excited to have her.
Should be a
All
good
right.
time.
Yes.
Yes.
I just wanted to make sure that it was next week. I had to look at the calendar.
Yeah,
I'm
no,
sorry.
that's fine. All right,
What is
everyone.
time?
You
Which
guys
means
have
another-
a great...
which means another week of work for me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's going to work you to the bone.
Back to the Ghoulish mines.
All right, you guys have a great week. And we'll see you guys next weekend.
So,
Take
I'm
care,
gonna give a
everyone.
shout out to Demno. Thanks so much for coming out. We had a
Yeah,
good
thanks
time.
for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me.